meeting, Board of Aldermen for April 7th, 2014. Here. Alderman Nash. Here. Alderman Bell. Here. Alderman Whitaker. Here. Mayor's here. And City Administrator Ray Walden. Here. City Clerk Mary Hempel. Here. City Attorney William Campsey. Present. Chief of Police Keith Steelman. Present. Superintendent Brian Johns. Here. Superintendent Jack Emery. Here. Park and Rec Director Greg Nash. Here. Code Officer Jared Brown. Here. Building Inspector Lloyd Sanderson. Here. Everybody's here except for me. Well, if Eddie had been here, we'd have had them all. All right. We have no hearing persons at this time. I'm going to jump into a bunch of items here under bids. And at this time, I request Mr. Waldman to present the bids for a mower for the cemetery.
Bobby came to us and had a mower that was down, needed replacement. And I asked him to spec one out, so we put that out for bid. And we had two replies. You have them there in your bid packet. Bid for $15,416 from Wade's in Stillville, and then another bid $14,294.63. And staff recommendation would be to go with the lowest bid. And I've got Superintendent Greg Nash is here to talk about this mower as well as one for the Parks Department.
Okay. Entertain a motion on the low bid.
And these funds are coming from...
We're going to be working on that here in just a little bit.
Oh,
later.
okay.
Make motion, we accept the low bid for discussion, please.
Second for discussion.
Have a motion and a second for discussion. Discussion.
All right, is this on this Kubota mower, is this a tractor or a zero turn?
It is a tractor. It is a tractor to replace one that,
Okay, is there any particular reason why we're going with strictly Kubota that we didn't go with any other?
just what he's had in the past, and I've had real good luck with them. I think he did spec it out, look at price, and the green ones were quite a bit more expensive in compared to the same model comparable to what John Deere's got.
You're saying the John Deere was higher?
Is that John Deere the only one we had looked at?
I'm sorry.
Is the Kubota and the John Deere the only ones we've looked at?
I believe so. I'm not sure who Bobby contacted on that one.
I would like to see some more prices on different makes. And,
Like I say, I don't know what he did. I'm sure he probably just called. I know he had taken that down to Wade's and had it looked at, and probably had him just bid out something comparable to that. But further than that, I'm not sure what he did on that one, to be honest with you.
I'd like to buy America if we can too. I'd like to see some more prices on different
Okay.
makes. We could get
We'll get some more prices.
Well, we have a request to get more prices. Any other questions?
Do we have something we can be using in the meantime, Greg?
We can baby that along. I mean,
Okay.
if you run it about half speed, it does okay. But if you run it any higher than that, it does overheat. The engine needs to be rebuilt. It's talking about $10,000 to get it running the way it should run. So, you know, we're going to be needing to look to replace it fairly quick. It wasn't anything that we anticipated when we did the budget last year. It just kind of at the end of last year and the beginning of, or over the winter. This is one of those tractors that Bobby uses to put the bucket on when he's hauling dirt to work on the graves and stuff like that too. So it's kind of just went downhill in a hurry.
But it's how old?
Gosh, Ryan, I don't even know, to tell you the truth. I'm not.
Probably close to 20 years old.
I was going to say it's at least 15 years old. I wouldn't.
If it wouldn't call such a handicap, I'd like to look at some other prices on different mowers, you know, Kubota. I know it's a good mower, but there's other good mowers out there too. That's just my opinion.
We can look within our other departments, see if we can get Bobby by, you know, until another meeting, we'll get some more prices.
Well, no further questions, but it is the pleasure of the board. Alderman Powell.
No.
Alderman Giacomelli.
No.
Alderman Nash.
No.
Alderman Whitaker.
No.
Next, another Kubota tractor, only for the park. A little bit cheaper this time.
We had 5 responses to the request for bids on that one. Lowest would be from Wade's and Stillville, and that would, excuse me, be our recommendation. Greg, if you want to share more about that one, or?
This is another mower that we've kind of babied along the last few years and decided not to put it in the budget. We was going to try to make it one more year. And after we had already approved the 2013, 2014 budget last year, this one we started having problems with it. Rick took a look at it. We took it to Wade's, and it's got a blown head gasket and needs to have engine replacement on it. They said they've got it tore down now. It's sitting on pallets over there. They said it's $5,000 minimum to replace it. So, or to rebuild the motor, or replace the motor. I'm sorry, not rebuild it, replace it. But this is the oldest one we've had. We've had this one for 12 years. And it's got quite a few hours on it. This is the one that's used just about all day, every day on during the summer mowing season. And it is a zero turn. It's not a tractor.
Like the rest of you guys, I still like to have some more models and bids, prices.
Is there a reason they only priced the Kubota?
No, that's what we've used. We've had really good luck with the Kubotas. They've been really good to us. Rick likes them. So
That's fine.
we just, whenever I call, in the same situation, I just asked them what would be the model to replace that, and that's the model number they gave me whenever I took it to Wade's. And then I had actually called those other dealers. I'd called 6 or 7 dealers, how many ever bids we got there, and asked them to bid on the same thing. So that's the only reason why just Kubota.
Okay.
But I can certainly, if you all, the board please, I can take a look at something else or whatever you all want me to do. Not a problem.
It'd just be nice to have something to compare it to.
Well, what is the pleasure of the board?
It's from the same position we were on yet.
You don't have a motion, so you
We have a motion.
table it for next time.
Motion to table.
Rebid.
Motion to rebid.
How long would it take us to get these other bids?
We're gonna have to put that back in the paper again, advertise.
Let's put it back in the paper. I can start working on it to advertise. It won't go until next Tuesday, but I would assume we could put it in Tuesday and open bids on Friday and have it for the next meeting.
Be a little iffy.
Well, I mean, I can contact vendors. I mean, nobody around here is gonna bid on it, I don't think, that would see it in the paper anyway.
Right.
Right.
Just my opinion. But whatever you all decide is fine with me.
That'd be great if you could do that, just get over some prices.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion to table.
Second.
Motion, second to table. Further questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker. Alderman Nash. All right. Next item's recycling bins.
This is through the grant with MRPC. This is a grant-funded item, and we put out the request for bids, and we just had one company respond. They're the only ones who understand that make these types of bins that we need. And so our recommendation would be to go with the bid from Dempster's LLC in Nebraska for $3297.50.
You said there was a grant for this?
Yes, this is covered through a
I'll make a
grant.
motion we accept bid number 1, Dempster's LLC.
Second.
$297.50.
Second the motion.
Motion and second. Questions? Hearing none, call for vote. Alderman Powell.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Next item is, had been a budgeted maintenance item for the water department building that I'll ask Superintendent Jack, want to tell him about what this building would do, where it's located?
This building will be like a pole barn. It'll be boxed in on 3 sides. We will use it to store our water and sewer pipes under it. Likewise, we have a sludge truck that we used to keep housed down at the sewer plant. When we bought the manure spreader, then it had to be housed as well. So from time to time, we'll use this sludge truck up at the shop. So that truck's been sitting up at the shop ever since. If you drive by, you can look at the tank on it, and it's really taking a beating due to the weather elements. And we plan on using this building to store the sludge truck in. Likewise, we want to take the backhoe out of our shop and keep it housed in this building and utilize that space for some more water and sewer fittings that we're needing to keep downstairs. We have some that's upstairs that really needs to be downstairs so we can keep a better eye on the inventory.
So you're not gonna be storing pipe in there?
Yes, and we have some large diameter pipe. We don't keep a lot of it, but some of that pipe, is $20 a foot, and we've had some of it a long time because we don't have much demand for it. But we still have to keep it on account of the breaks and for repairs.
Didn't we look at something similar to this for the electric department, but we said no because we were only storing poles? Is this more of a case because of the vehicle storage?
Well, actually, the pipe, when it sits out in the sun, it takes a beating as well. And yes, we do need it, for the pipe, as well as for the sludge truck, and the backhoe.
Okay.
And this would take a budget adjustment,
That's what we're recommending.
and the budget, the money that would be spent on this would be taken out of our, relining our sewer lines with.
That's what we have planned at this time, is to do that. More than likely, we're probably not gonna be doing anything this year anyway, on the sewer alignment.
We sure need to, because EPA's are jumping at us right now. I hate to see money taken out of Sensiphone, because me and Mr. Powell had a chance to watch that. That is some fine stuff, and you don't have to dig your lines all up. It's just put in there and sealed, and I'd like to see us do more of it. That's just my opinion.
Hopefully, you all can add some extra money in that next budget year to do just that. And then, yeah, whoever, but Sensiphone to me is very important, because our sewer system has got a lot of leaks in it, people, and these plastic pipe has been sitting out for quite a while. Maybe throw a tarp over them until next budget. I don't know, what's everybody else's idea?
Do you recall how many feet of Incentiform we did last year? How many feet did we do of Incentiform last year?
Around 6,000.
And that was the $80,000 mark for what we budgeted?
It was, but we went over on it, considerable last year. Now, this year we budgeted 80,000.
Right.
And, I think the bid on this came in, 9,400?
9276.
And we had 5,000 budgeted for it, so there'd be 4,000 that would come from.
Okay.
What's that?
It's very interesting to see them do that.
Okay.
Lloyd, with our construction crew, spec'd out materials for it, and we requested bids on it, and we had 2 responses. You see in there in your packet, Roberts Judson, bid 9276.85, then Whitaker Building Supply is 9708.14. And be the recommendation to go with the lowest bid.
What is the pleasure of the board?
We're gonna be doing any more of the form work this year? Any of the sewer lining?
We had budgeted 80,000, and so the adjustment would be whatever we would pull out of that to cover these capital expenditures. And so it's still our intention to spend the balance of the 80,000 on in situ form.
So we're only looking at somewhere around $4,000, because we already budgeted $5,000 for what Jack is proposing.
Correct.
I make a motion to that effect to accept bid number 1.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Just to let you know that money in that in situ form was for doing underneath MacArthur. Is what I think Clayton and I had talked about, to do that, because we would need that for a MacArthur project. But bottom line is, in situ form can be done after MacArthur's done, and MacArthur's not going to get done in this budget year completely. Hopefully, next item or two that we talk about will be done in this budget year. Anyway, any further questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yes, as long as we keep on our sense phone.
Next item,
Thank you.
Through
airport maintenance.
Yes, Mayor. Through MoDOT administers funds that's made available to airports for approved projects. And we had a project approved, seal coat our runway and asphalt out there. And Lochner served as an engineering firm for us on our airport projects. And you have in your bid packets a copy of the bid tabulation. And it's our recommendation that we go with the lowest bid that was deemed to meet the bid specs.
Our cost that's budgeted for there, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, is in bold at the bottom of that project sheet.
Correct, and we did have, did budget for our portion, it's a 5% match on these MoDOT funds.
Okay.
And so, and we do have it in the budget for this year.
We do have it in the budget.
Yes.
It is budgeted.
Make a motion for staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, in that motion, please, a bid to also authorize the mayor to sign the agreement and authorize the city clerk to attest that agreement in their signature. In your motion, please.
Would like to add to the motion the mayor's authorization to sign the agreement, as well as the city clerk to witness.
I'll second it.
Okay, you made the motion, and you seconded it. Any questions concerning? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yes,
Next item, Highway J water line replacement.
This is related to the MacArthur project and Route J that we're doing with MoDOT, but this would be for replacement of water lines as a separate project that we're doing on us. And actually, we have grant funds through the Delta Regional Authority to cover this project. And Archer Engineering has been helping us with the bid selection and so forth on this one. And you have a copy of the bid summary and so forth of what we received. And Jeff Meadows with Archer Engineering is with us tonight. And Jeff might ask if you just want to share a little bit about the bidders and the project.
Sure. Good evening. Jeff Meadows with Archer Engineering. We received very competitive bids. A total of 12 contractors, I believe, picked up plans and received 9 total bids. Our estimate was in the $300,000 range for the project. The low bid was $237,000 from Logan Excavating from Vienna, Missouri. And you can see the bid summary, which is the total base bid is the second page behind our letter. So I believe there were 3 or 4 bids below our estimate, which we never want to be the low bid. We would like to be kind of somewhere in the middle of the estimate. So very, very competitive bids. I did meet with Paul Logan, the owner of Logan Excavating. We worked with them on previous projects, other public works type projects throughout the area. Had a very good, successful relationship on those projects. I did meet with the owner to make sure that he had a key understanding of all the critical elements of the project, and he seemed to do so, and felt very comfortable with his bid. So we're recommending approval or authorization to award to Logan Excavating.
You worked plenty with him before?
We've worked on a few projects, and he's a contractor. He will be, the owner of the company will be here on site and probably on the track on a daily basis so it's good to work with a contractor who's right there in the middle of it, and that's partly probably why he can shave some dollars. He was looking for work, and to the benefit of Salem, hopefully that'll work out well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You bet. You.
Thanks, Shep. So again, it'd be our recommendation to go with the lowest qualified bidder, Logan Excavating, for $237,027.50, with the same stipulations Mayor had on the previous one, as far as him authorizing to sign the contract and married to a test.
Again, the funds coming from where?
This one is through Delta Regional Authority grant.
For the entire amount? What's it gonna cost the city?
Okay, on the city, we have 190,000 of Delta Regional Grant money. We have 237, so you're looking at 47,000. But in the project money that was set aside in the Capital Improvements Fund, we had set aside X amount of dollars, and we did not have to use all of that because we used some funds that MoDOT had set aside for the city to use for different projects. And with that, we're going to have probably 90,000 or so to do that with. We've got, about 60,000. We're going to be in good shape.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the low bid from Logan Excavating LLC for $237,000.
Have a motion and a second. That'll be about $52 a foot. We're going to be putting in 4,500 foot of pipe in that.
I know we don't have any local, well, there's one local bidder, but it's not within the 5%.
No. Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Powell?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderman Giacomelli?
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker?
Yes.
Beautiful. Get that thing started tomorrow, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Give me a couple more days on that.
Huh? Goodness gracious. I'd like to see that done by next, 2 weeks from today.
Hopefully they'll be here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the key. All right, thank you for all of the bids. Sorry, the park and the cemetery not going to get a mower, but that's okay.
We'll get one.
Hopefully. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. It's got the minutes of the board meeting, cart tax report, collector's report, municipal report, certificates of deposits of December 31st and it's of March 21st. Analysis for February, sidewalk construction, utility construction, police department, electric, sewer, and water. Cart tax, $14,359.06. Collector's report, $6,874.16. Municipal court report, $3,185.50.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question on the certificate of deposits. I read through here, and maybe I missed it, but I don't see anything in here what our total is on our electric department reserve. Is that in these?
Doesn't have CD, it's all in checking.
So, does anybody have a number of how
I
much
think
we
you were
have?
given a number last meeting, 138,000, 139,000, something
I
like
don't know,
But
that's
electric
one-
reserve.
that. Electric reserve you did. You gave them
Okay,
he came into the office and picked up that figure.
okay.
137,000.
138, 39, something like that. You should have the paper, you came and picked it up.
Then the paper. One question I had.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Nash. Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, reports, city officials. Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Aldermen, just a couple items, given the number of other things we had in our agenda tonight. We had the Business Expo this last Saturday, and I want to thank Alderman Nash and Alderman Giacomelli were there to help us with that, and of course yourself, Mayor. They estimated around 450 people came through, and we were able to share a lot of information about city programs, and it was just a good event. And the other thing I would mention for the public is we'll be holding a reception for Mayor Brown Friday, August 18th, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the city administrative offices.
August 18th?
April, I'm sorry.
It's a long way, huh?
That's a week from this coming Friday. So again, would encourage folks to stop by and tell our outgoing mayor thanks for his many years of service. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Walden? Hearing none, I will continue on with my 3.5 pages of whatever. First of all, I did have to put down in the packet so that you would know that I wanted to discuss this, and that is about the hiring of the city administrator. We have 8 resumes that has been given since about the first week of January, after it was put online. A lot of them are repeats from whenever the Austin Peters Group was taking our resumes and looking through them and going through them. And in fact, probably only 3 of those are not on that list. But anyway, looking through and looking through the resumes, seeing that Austin Peters had kindly thumbed down a few and said not to worry about them, and having worked with Ray this past 2 months as an interim administrator, knowing him this past 14 years, I am going to highly recommend that you would hire him as the administrator. And we have personnel tonight that we can talk about in closed session and talk about a contract for him, or we can put it off till next time, or I say the next time. We've got a workshop scheduled next Monday night to discuss a policy of savings for the electric reserve fund, and we could go into closed session at that time and talk about it. So it's really up to the board if you would like to go in closed session tonight to talk personnel. That's what we do have that on there.
I'll make a motion that we set that up for tonight.
We do closed session tonight for the contract personnel. Okay, have a motion?
Second.
And second. Discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yes,
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Okay.
for discussion.
Okay. Also, I got word, and I've got to admit, I received this, I think, one day last week, and I did not call to find out, but it came from the American Legion, somebody that I know out at the American Legion, and they told me that MoDOT was now allowing FFA and 4-H groups to different things about using the firing range, or the firing range, that's something else entirely, about using four-way stop out at 19. So anyway, I got to check to make sure about that, but MoDOT is allowing the American Legion to do that, and they said even some school groups would be allowed as well. So anyway. Next thing, had a good trip to Washington, D.C. for the National Association of Development Organizations. And I want to thank Alderman Powell for acting as mayor during that time and doing all of the things that needed to be done. I want to say, number one, we had a good meeting with the staff of Senator McCaskill and Representative Lukenmeyer, who is the representative for the northern part of the MRPC. We did meet with Senator Blunt, met with Representative Smith and Hartzler, Representative Hartzler from over at Pulaski County. And of course, most of you know, I'm not sure if Stan knows this or not, but I do have good, lovely feelings for a group called EPA. And blessings was going in and telling them people, and telling the representatives, telling the staff, all of the things that EPA is doing now. And literally, and I think Jeff Meadows will even maybe say yes to this, has no way of knowing and testing to the results, for the results that they're wanting to get. Well, anyway, they looked at me and said, we're tired of hearing that song. You need to play something else. And I said, what can I say? I guess every municipality and everybody in the state of Missouri has been on their case like there was no tomorrow. And anyway, I just added to it, and I liked it, and I enjoyed it. But we did meet with the different organizations from Delta Regional, Department of Agriculture. We had a chance to meet with them, Department of Commerce, Homeland Security, Labor, Transportation, Economic Development, and I did go over and sit down with the two ladies from Environmental Protection Agency. And the one that was there last year was the same one, and all they wanted to talk about was brownfields. And there's grant money that's available there for anything that falls under that category. And so anyway, we talked about that, and then we talked about their good rates on good things that's happening to sewer plants and everything else in the city. And she took my notes, but they would not have anybody from there because they knew they was going to get attacked. And I think there was several of us that felt that way. But anyway, we did have a good time. I did really enjoy that, and I really appreciated, in all fairness, I appreciated Patricia Obermeyer for working for EPA to take all of the stuff down that I had, and she was very good, and I don't know if it's going to do any good, but people in Washington better get their head out of the sewer, because it's going to be a little touchy. Didn't have any Park Service people there, but I did want to tell them about Miss Salem and the question that Miss Salem was asked. And I was just going to elaborate on that just one more time. Miss Salem was asked the question, what would you do if you were in charge of the Yellowstone Park to get people to come? And she said, I would say, you better come and see us before the federal government shuts us down. And I love it. And the people that I talked to, they thought that was great. And I said, this girl's a senior in high school. She's got her feet on right. She knows what's happening. Anyway, that's enough of that. Now then, the other thing. When I got home from Washington DC, went by and picked up the Tuesday paper, got home, gave it to my wife. She was looking at it pretty quick. And she was reading something in there, and she looked at me and she said, "I got to ask you a question." I said, "Okay. Has the city ever had $6 to $8 million in reserves?" And I said, "Not that I'm aware of." I said, "When I left as alderman in 1997, we had $2.9 million in reserves. When I came in as mayor in 2000, we had just over $2 million in reserves." Then she asked this question: could the city save $550,000 in reserves by cutting the budget 5%? And I looked at her and said, "What in the world are you doing?" And she said, and I told her, I said, "No way." So it got me to thinking, maybe I'm wrong. So I got the budget, $10.7 million in budget. We got to buy electricity. We got 4.2 budgeted in purchase of electricity. You got $2.5 million in payroll. With those figures, that leaves you $4 million that could be used as a 5% cut in budget. But in that $4 million, we got to have some sales tax, capital improvement sales tax. That gives you about $500,000 each year. And that sales tax money can only be used for improvements. Now, the city also has, surprisingly, we have to pay utility bills for this building and all the others. And we have about $300,000 in utility bills that we have to pay. And we write a check for that as well. So, you put that down, put that $5,000 and that $500,000 and that $300,000 down, that gives you 3.2, which 5% is $160,000. And with that, that's even a gamble. Because when you cut that amount, you're going to be cutting services that needs to be addressed. Then you add one more little item. We just talked about it here on the agenda a minute ago, cart tax. We get about $180,000 in cart tax each year to be used only on the maintenance and the upkeep of the streets. You could cut $550,000 out of the budget, but that's 18%. And that definitely is going to be cutting services. So anyway, when I explained that to her, she said, "Well, why would someone do that?" And I said, "I have no idea. But I just wanted to put that out there. You can talk about it. You can put it on the line like you're going to do, but that's a fact. You've got certain things that has to be addressed. And with that, I'll shut that up. Continue on. Next item, new and miscellaneous business. Approval of bills over $3,000. Mr. Walton.
You have in your packets about the house on 803 West Raleigh Road, and you need approval to release insurance money on that.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any question about that?
And that has been cleared up, cleaned up? Okay.
That has. And just, that is according to city codes, 25% of the insurance company, insurance money comes from that company to the city until it's cleaned up. And it has been cleaned up and it's done a great job. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Next bill.
You have a budgeted item for transformer maintenance. Pass around the list of transformers that we have at Salem Court for rebuilding. That's Superintendent Johns. He would share information about these transformers again. This is a budgeted item for transformer maintenance and the capital improvements, and that can be used to purchase new or to repair these. That's what we're proposing. Right?
That's a list of transformers that Arkansas Electric used to pick up. They was bought out by ERMCO, and we was waiting to see if ERMCO was gonna continue to rebuild, and they decided they're only gonna do brand new transformers. So that's why there's so many of them at one time. Throughout the previous years, we've always had 3 or 4 come in at a time each month at $500, $600, $300 here, just to rebuild the ones from storm damage, squirrels, just whatever, old age. That's just the whole lot at one time, basically. That's all of our transformers that needs to be repaired and sent back to us.
Total cost on that project, at the top of your page, if you look at it, it's $18,191.
That's the cost with remanufacturing and replacement?
Yes, that's the total cost of everything there. Some of them will be remanufactured, some will be replaced, just whatever can be done to them. I mean, whichever route's cheaper.
The two totals at the bottom do not add up to that, never mind. Sorry.
Ryan,
Yes, sir.
I worked over there quite a while, maybe you can explain to people what's the difference between what they do when they remanufacture.
Some of them's rebuilt, some's remanufactured. They go through and rewind transformers. Some of them they just replace the bushings and the windings are still good, and they just repaint and test the oil and everything, make sure everything's certified. The rewinds are typically better if they get rewound, just because the core in them is all new, but everything has a 2-year warranty on it, either if it's remanufactured or a brand new transformer is twice to 3 times the amount, and it only has a 1-year warranty on it. They kind of figure if you hook it up and it doesn't go boom, it's going to last for over 2 years, I guess.
And the money's been budgeted by these years.
Yes.
Make a motion for the purchase of $18,191.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Giacomelli.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yes.
Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Next item is an ordinance that's not really an ordinance yet, but it is to become an ordinance if it is proposed, and that is building code ordinances proposed fee structure. And Mr. Walden, would you like to?
Prior to when I started serving as interim city administrator, the city had looked into some training and code standard to go off of for building inspectors. And what the board had elected to do was to train 2 of our staff under the International Building Code to be certified to do inspections and to enforce or apply those codes. And we've had 2 staff people that have passed that, and they're with us tonight, Lloyd Sanderson and Jared Brown. And that was kind of the front end of it. And the point of going with that standard would be to adopt that code with whatever exceptions the board pleases for them to inspect off of. And so our guys have spent some time looking at what other cities do. And you'll find most municipalities, or very few, will adopt that IBC as is. Most make exceptions, and that's what we're proposing, is to adopt, the IBC code, but with some exceptions that we think make sense for Salem and our situation. And I'll ask Jared or Lloyd if one of them would speak to the background on that, or can tell you more about their testing, the certification that they've been through, and kind of where we're at to this point with what we have in your packets.
like Ray said, we did a lot of research on what other towns do, but more than that, we've spent a lot of time reading through a few thousand pages of code. That is what the ICCs consists of. The residential building, existing building, plumbing, fuel, gas, and mechanical, I believe is what's in front of you right now. And there are some exceptions that we went through. Again, along with those, some things that maybe weren't necessary at this time for Salem. Along with some exceptions that you have to go through as a part of the adoption process. There's mandatory exceptions and additions. I guess amendments would be the word that you use in order to adopt it for a municipality like ourselves, where you have to plug in your information. And since it is an international building code or residential code, those are going to be based off of how you build things is going to be dependent on where you live and what kind of climate zone you're in, seismic zone, wind zone, things like that. And so those are all amendments that we've put in there based on our area. And it's all things you can find on maps as far as seismic zones and climate zones, things like that. So those, along with really not a whole lot of other exceptions, except the ones, like I said, that we deemed not necessary for us at this time.
When I received these from Ray this past week, I called and I asked Karen to include, for the availability of the alderman, the actual code.
Yes.
And I'm not sure she understood what I said, because I think she thought that I was just talking about the amendments to it, but I'd like very much for each of you to have access to each one of them before you make that call.
Well, for example, section 1401.2 says insert, or the one above it says delete, and we don't know what we're inserting or deleting.
Well, I think you'll find that a lot of these, and Jeremy had this experience dealing with the building code. I think some of the issues that were raised with regard to the rental issues will be remedied when you adopt these new codes, because of the repairs that are going to be necessary when new structural permits are obtained. But I'd like you to, and it is monumental, as these gentlemen will tell you, but I think you all need to at least have the opportunity to look at it. In fact, when Karen said, well, I can send it to you online, I said, I'd rather spend the city's dollar on the paper than me print it out. But she suggested she'll just send it to me online.
The codes are viewable online, in reference to what he said. I don't know that you can print them, but you can go to the exact sections that are talked about in the amendments and read what they say and see where that's going. Again, probably I don't know what Karen was thinking exactly, but I know that it would have been a task to copy off, like I said, several thousand pages of those books.
I think as an alderman, we need to know, and we need to have a
Sure.
copy of the International Building Code before we just pick and choose what we want in it and what we take out. And I think we have a lot of concerned citizens in Salem that buy and sell property and rent property that would like to be involved when we have been involving them and picking up on some of their opinions of what they want. But I'd like to work with everybody in this town, with everybody to understand what we're doing.
And I guess to clarify, if I can, these building codes would only, they don't have anything to do with alterations, renovations, repairs, or constructing of buildings, residences, as well as plumbing for new and existing. When you go to repair plumbing or put plumbing in, it's all, it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with something that's already there and going in and making that right. But whenever it's time to make repairs, time to make alterations, they have to be done according to these codes if they were adopted. And it's a minimum, the ICC codes are a minimum standard for safety and that sort of thing as far as buildings go. So it wouldn't be, it wouldn't necessarily be what we're talking about with rentals as much as we are talking about building or repairing, altering.
If there's a structural change, it's gonna be a lot.
Right. And I'd like to involve, we got some people here tonight, I know are very interested in this. And I'd like for them to have some input in it. And let us have we have to have another workshop. Let's get the people informed of what we're doing and let everybody know up front. And if we got a building code, let's put it online where everybody can see it, so there'll be no question.
That will be online.
You know, the SEC codes are online now.
Be
You
online.
can look at those just the way they come out.
We need to have a link given to each of the aldermen.
Besides the link, we can look at what it might cost, 2 or 3 sets maybe, if it's even available in print. And then work out some means, to share those. We can do that. Check into the cost.
All right, so before we do anything, we'll need to give the alderman a copy of it or access to it so that
Again,
they
that's my
can.
request, that they
Very
can look at
good.
it and question me about it.
What code is it? 2012?
Okay, so with that, we don't need to do anything,
Not tonight.
not tonight,
Just need
just,
to get access to them and.
right,
and
okay.
Ray, I don't know how accessible it might be for the public to do something else where they can find it.
So, that's it for that issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next item. I got a call from the people that, from the Grays that set off the fireworks for our 4th of July. And they would like to know if we're going to do it, and if we do, they would like to be able to order it now, and with that, we would be able to get, not necessarily a discount on the fireworks, but we would be able to get a little bit added to our display if we order now. So, say in the past 2 years, we've had 15,000, well, we may be able to have 15,500, 15,000, 16,000, I don't know what it is. But anyway, they would like to know if it's the pleasure of the board to have the annual 4th of July fireworks display. And it is budgeted this year, supposed to be. So what would be the pleasure of the board?
It's budgeted and, we can save money, and if we wanna have it,
Well, we're not necessarily saving money, just having a bigger display.
right,
Just added more displays.
get a discount on lighting.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
So,
The other issue is your location, and
we'll be, yeah,
we need to deal with the contract issue if we're gonna have a commons again.
right.
So
I
maybe
need to
we
be
get that.
prepared before we order the fireworks, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay. We can go ahead and order the fireworks, then start working on the, because we're gonna have it, we'll need to work on the contract.
Be a question of where.
Yes, yeah, okay. So, you make a motion to have the fireworks display? Yeah. Okay. Second.
Advice of our city attorney, how we go about it.
Right. And with that, any other questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Nash.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderman Powell.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker.
Yes.
Very good. I will call them in the morning, let them know. Next item, budget adjustments. The
You
only
might
thing
ask if you want to take that one, know where we're at on the motors.
Okay.
We can do that, or we can do it for the shed.
So we do it for the shed.
Yeah, because we're,
Let's change the dollar amount then, adjusting to 927685.
I make a motion to that effect for the adjustment for the
Second.
building.
Motion second. Discussion?
You can use them in its entirety.
Hearing none. Call for the vote. Alderman Chuck Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Powell?
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
All right. That concludes our session as far as open session. This time, I entertain a motion to go into closed session for the first session. Motion?
Second.
Second. Call for the vote. Alderman Powell?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Alderman Whitaker?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderman Chuck Miller?
Yes.
We'll be going into closed session in just a short little time here. I'll take a break.